In the end of the world, the strangest weapon I ever saw was a giant, rusted spoon used to smash through walls. From a legendary sword to a plasma rifle, now forget all that RMC stuff today. That G1 GMBB loss was a total waste, and you heard it loud and clear, didn't you? Trapped inside his fancy apartment. This guy found the secret trick to farming. He picks up dumbbells from the system store and then rains them down on the monsters below. It sounds like a silly joke, but that is exactly how the world's most unlikely hero begins his wild ride to become the true king of apocalypse. Curious to see how all this craziness unfolds? Then get ready, because the crazy adventure is just beginning. One bright day, all of humanity was on the very edge of falling apart. When the end of the world arrived, it brought a terrible disease along with it. When the pandemic war started, it shattered the economy and left everyone with very little food to eat. But the very last strike that knocked humanity down didn't come from us, not at all. It was the monsters from the game that gave the final blow. That's right, folks, monsters. What happened next was exactly what you'd been waiting for. Just like in the novels, metahumans with special powers showed up, but there was one big difference. They couldn't actually stop the apocalypse. The real story starts just 3 days after everything fell apart. Judging by the scene, someone is probably just hanging out at home munching on chips. Right here stands RMC, proving that the world hasn't ended quite yet. For him though, life goes on as usual, just by himself. He's the sole resident of this tiny 100 square meter apartment while his mom, dad, and grandparents are out in the middle of the kiosk. His father, the family leader, lost everything to buy this $200 million apartment, and now our main character is here even though he never had an easy life. It turns out someone had to live in the apartment for at least 2 years to get their tax breaks, but I still haven't figured out if they own just that one unit or the entire building. Anyway, that's why the MC is stuck here, and to make matters worse, he got completely trapped the moment the apocalypse began. It looks like that poor guy really doesn't have much to do, does it? He checks for a signal every single day, but as you know, life is complicated these days. He lets out a sigh, then hears a scream coming from outside. Sure enough, he isn't an idiot, so he darts to the window to see what the fuss is about. Look, a big monster is coming right at us. And the worst part of it all is just how huge the thing is. The MC simply let go and accepted what was coming. In the end, there's really nothing you can do to stop this beast, is there? At least this way it'll all be over soon, but forget that, it's a trick, and you can't just kick the bucket now or the video ends right here. And I had barely even begun. Then our little friend pops up to warn us that someone who doesn't belong is trying to get inside. It turns out that at level 1, the MC's special passive power keeps everyone out of his house unless he says it's okay. With a hand pressed to his heart, he finally lets out a breath of relief. He's still alive today simply because of this one skill. But now we see the only downside. The MC is safe, yet he's stuck here and can't get away. He's tried every trick in the book over and over, but he still can't find a way out. He even tries to kick the barrier, but it's not going to make a dent. Back in the living room, the MC thinks to himself that it's been 3 days since the world started falling apart. This gift keeps him safe, but since he can't leave, what's the point? With no way to escape, the MC's mind starts to fray as he sits silently in the corner until the system shows up again. Once again, the warning means the Supreme Recluse cannot leave their home. The MC gets so fed up he calls the Supreme Recluse a butt, and that's the mildest insult he could muster. This makes him fly with rage because he is completely stuck with no way to help. He glanced sideways at the endless mountain of food before him and grinned. Yesterday, when the power cut out and his fridge died, he's been scraping by on whatever scraps are left, but that won't last much longer. He's got nothing left but the food in his container and a few packs of crackers, but right then, his system pings him with another message. The system told him he had taken down a level 23 monster, earned plenty of XP, and leveled up his skill. The kid was totally baffled, wondering how he could catch something if he never left his house. That's when he recalls the creature that just smashed into the window and sprints to the balcony to take a look. He looks down to see the monster lying on the ground while several goblins happily pile on top of it, treating the fallen giant like a surprise delivery from the sky. The kid really loves the idea of getting all the glory from the hunt without ever having to lift a finger. And to top it all off, the system pops up again to tell him he's earned a brand new skill and some loot that's still being figured out. As more screams tear through the air, he jumps in fright. Down below, the goblins suddenly start screaming for no reason at all, acting absolutely strange. Could the system have messed with their minds? I can't say it, but the system pops up to tell him the loot count is done and his virtual wallet just hit with 2,200,000. While a bright light suddenly shines right above his head. He jumped and looked up, realizing his territory skill had leveled up to 3 and suddenly restored his power. Oh wait! Never mind, my bad. The lights came back because of a different skill at level 1 called Preservation of Dignity. To keep the MC's dignity intact, we brought back half of the mansion's powers. The kid is instantly overjoyed because the power is back. He dashes to the fridge just to make sure everything is truly fixed. And there it was, shining like a blessing. He dashes to the sink just in time to find water waiting there. Even the stove is fixed and working again, folks. What a sweet deal, because now everything is back to normal, like the world never ended. He snatched up his phone, wondering if the message had bounced back to him as well. He was talking about Wi-Fi or cell service, but sadly, neither one was working. That would be asking too much of such a tiny system, wouldn't it? Suddenly, he looks ahead and sees a flash drive sitting right in the middle of the mess. He darts straight to the computer, grateful that the power is back on. The flash drive holds a treasure trove of pictures, including ones of him as a tiny baby. There are pictures of him as a kid, as a teen, and of course as an adult. That whole setup is made just to crush a man who's already lost everything and standing alone with no one to help him, only to find a drive holding photos of everyone he cares about. That's just cruel, trying to break the MC and push the poor guy into a spiral. Looking at these pictures, he can't wait to show his family this amazing place. No matter the cost, he's going to get them. But since he's stuck inside, the system lets him visit a level 1 shop where he can buy the listed items for their original price. The MC, feeling curious, leans in to see how it works. With the shop empty, he'll have to list everything himself, but since he has 2 million to spend, he can even buy enough stock to last a long time just by listing a single bag of rice. The system prompts him to list something first. The MC keeps overthinking it until he finally decides to push it off until later. He swings the balcony door open and steps right to the edge. The system instantly flashes a warning, telling him he isn't allowed to leave the house. But that's fine because he knew it was coming, and even though he got stronger, he's still stuck. But one thing is certain. Every time he hunts a monster, he gets stronger and sharper. And then, who knows, maybe he'll get a power that lets him leave the house, though the real struggle is figuring out how to hunt monsters while stuck like this. It's a tall order to think the same crazy thing will happen again, especially with another flying monster about to crash right through his window. But that's when he remembers the tiny creatures. Yeah, maybe he can take on the goblins. He grabs a bottle to test just one thing. Seems he's about to toss the bottle out the door. Amazingly, it worked, and he was relieved. His worry about being unable to throw things turned out to be wrong. So, how about giving one of their heads a little Dumbo right in the center? Wait. He realizes this is about to go wrong. The goblin leader is speaking. Just as the MC was about to test his new ideas, the others shouted for him to run, but the boy didn't hesitate. He stood tall, ready to throw with complete confidence. He hurls it with every ounce of strength he has left. I never thought he'd pull it off, but guess what? He hit his mark right on the dot. Even he couldn't believe how well he had shot. Now there's just one Dumbo left standing against a whole army of goblins. Crossing his arms, he worries about what to do, knowing he can't lift the heavy items left, like the TV or fridge, not just because they are too big but because he simply isn't strong enough, and then the screaming starts. Yep, the goblins are charging forward, and they're absolutely furious. Their leader roared that he was coming right up to smash Dumbo on your head, which terrified the MC so much he dared not move. The goblins line up to charge. Then they all take off and sprint toward the building. The trouble is they seem stuck on the ground since everyone is still down there. The MC thinks this isn't so bad anymore since the distance is shorter. Then a brilliant idea strikes him. The boy asks the computer to open the store. He lifts his hand and taps on the list item. Then the system asks if he truly wants to list the item. The kid says yes, and the system begins to analyze the Dumbo. After taking a close look, the shop's list showed a classic 3 kilograms Dumbo priced at $16,991. The MC was shocked to see the price tag was exactly what he'd paid online, proving that even as the world ended, prices hadn't gone up a single bit. The system pops up to ask if he really wants to buy that item. Our MC doesn't hesitate and gives the go-ahead right away. Then, Dumbo begins to take shape right before his eyes. The MC is pumped because it really worked. And the best part is that it feels just right in your hand. So he tosses another one and smashes right into the next goblin's head. The system immediately pops up to tell him he hunted a level 7 goblin and earned extra XP in 3001. The kid gets super excited as the farming finally begins. And honestly, the creators still haven't told us the guy's name. I don't care anymore, so I'm calling him Juning Ho since he never got a real one, and that's what it will be from now on. Suddenly, another Dumble appeared, and Juno stepped up to throw yet one more. But the goblins knew heavy things were already falling. So he just kind of missed. Suddenly the system pops up to say Juno bought 3 more sets of dumbbells, proving he's ready to keep pushing. And there, the tiny dumbbells begin to appear right before your eyes. Juno doesn't hesitate. He immediately starts throwing more. And this time, he gets it right without even trying. The system pops up again to show he earned 25,001, and this time, a brand new skill comes with it. That was exactly what Juno had been hoping for. A brand new trick to add to his collection. This time, he finally got a pocket of infinite space, and we all know exactly what that means. Juno then shouts at the system to open the storage. Next, he hoists the Dumbo up. The system asks if he should save the item, and he agrees. Immediately after that, the system checked and made sure it had saved Dumbo. He checks if the success rate is perfect, and if it is, he tells the system to hand it back. That's when Dumbo pops back into his hand. This is awesome for him because even if you don't get it, he can just pull the item out of nowhere whenever he needs it. That's when he stumbles on a trick that isn't really a skill. From afar, we spot his apartment shining with a warm, bright glow. After making a plan we haven't figured out, he orders the system to open the storage, but this time outside the house. Now I get it. The real trick isn't skill at all, it's just popping a whole bunch of dumb guys into existence at once. And there it is, the guy just got a blast that hits everything around him. The goblin leader screamed for everyone to run, but that plan backfired instantly as they all walked right into the great beyond. The little system flashed up instantly, telling him he had read in 54.01. Once Juno is told, it then asks if he wants to add anything else to the list. Junigo insists on filling the shop to the brim. He sold every last supply, staple, and even those silly items to the system and the shop, keeping only a tiny stash for himself. Juno looks at the system and spots a tiny mistake. He pulls out his wallet and checks how much cash he has left. That's when he spots one is missing, proving just how stingy he is that he even noticed a single one had vanished. He wonders if Jinho's grumbling about the sky-high utility bills, which keep the lights on and the water flowing, is really about dignity, while he complains despite being full from Simon's generous $11 treat. But you can see where he's coming from. He's mad about more than just that, he's furious about the goblins too. After wiping them all out with the Dumbo rain and forcing them to flee their old home, Junho never faced another challenger there because no one dared to return. Slamming his way to the balcony in a rage, he wonders if there's another creature he can hunt. He looks down and sees nothing but the broken body of the giant flying beast. Desperate and with no other choice, he knows he must find a new way. The real trouble is figuring out which one it is. Maybe, by some stroke of luck, another flying creature would show up near his window. Suddenly he spots something that makes him realize Mangod must be teaming up with this guy, because having this kind of luck is simply out of this world. He simply had to bring it up again, for another one appeared as if God was on his side or his words were blessed, since such a thing just couldn't be possible. Seeing the monster, he panics and runs for his life. Juningo scrambles to build a strange device to catch the creature's eye. He begins clamping a magnifying glass onto that strange, odd-looking object. He builds a strange device with a claw, a magnifying glass, and a mirror to bounce the light around. What really matters is that the light shines so the bird will notice. The monster darts right in front of the building, and just as it does, a sudden flash of light blinds it straight in the eyes. Without even a moment's hesitation, it turns around. Here it comes, plunging straight down. Jinho felt pure joy because it was exactly what he had always dreamed of, and he knew for sure it had worked. And there it is, slamming straight into the window, or maybe it's just a barrier. Junigo believes that if things keep going like this, they are sure to win. He's sure to get stronger if he takes down that monster. Well, if he really did finish it, since the thing is still alive and on its feet despite the hard hit it took. The bird's wings whipped up a crazy wind that caught Juno off guard, since he had just thought the creature would crash into him, and that would be the end of it. That's when the cursed object vanishes. Junho looks up and sees the creature has landed on top of the building. He's completely stuck. How in the world is he going to get that creature down now? And the worst part is that the creature is getting ready to peck right at the glass. It wasn't the glass, but the barrier itself. But the big question is just how long this wall will keep standing before it finally breaks. Juno holds his breath, hoping this thing won't manage to get through. With no other choice, he begs the shop to open. Once he asked for it, the shop springs open. Juno reflects on what he's seen so far, knowing the loot count won't happen until the creature gets close. Though the goblin hunts didn't always end in a victory. Sometimes when the bodies were dragged too far away, the system couldn't figure out what loot to give because of the long distance. Basically, once you're too far away, you won't get any loot. He can't allow that creature to escape and die later, so he must find a way to take it down now or face the end. As he stands before the shop, he shouts out, "Jim, give me 10 bottles of canola oil." And though the system warns that such a large order will cost a lot, Juno simply laughs and says he doesn't care, so the bottles are immediately brought right to him. Jiniho snatches them all and bolts. He grabs a pan, sets it on the stove, and pours some canola oil into it. It's canola, not cinnamon, while the man sharpens a crude spear with a cloth tied to its point. He dips the cloth into the oil, which happens to already be boiling. He commands the system to open the shop and add a new item, so while he pours all the boiling canola oil into the system announces that boiling canola oil has been added to the list. That's when Juno grabs the lighter, sets the cloth on fire, and turns himself into a human torch. He stepped out onto the balcony. From there, he spots the creature. He shouts for the system to bring the canola oil, and instantly, boiling oil splashes all over the bird. As the creature squirms in pain and soaks up the water, Juno steps up and gets ready. He's acting like a wild caveman. He's going to knock that monster out with raw strength and a blazing fire. The worst part is that the plan worked so well the whole thing is literally burning from head to toe. Of course the kid is happy, right? He didn't know if it would actually work. The bird can't stand the burns. And then it crashes down from the sky. Juno feels a bit guilty, but there's no choice but to pick between saving himself or the bird. Even after it fell, the creature is still breathing. My bad. Let me fix that. It was alive until it's gone now, so anyone want some roasted chicken? The system flashes up immediately to tell him he beat a level 27 monster, and then a flood of experience points, 2 skill boosts, and a brand new ability all rush in. What a lucky little thing. Right after the system said he was done, he found some treasure waiting for him. RMC raked in a fortune. He finally got his 9th million, with the very first drop coming from a level 23 bird that gave him 2 million, and this level 27 monster just handing over 9 million because slaying this bird is truly the best farm of all. The system chimes in to say the goals are hit, and now the house's territory is finally growing. That's when, my friend, the entire building begins to tremble. The kid has stopped trying to make sense of what's going on. Suddenly, a burning pain rushes straight at him. As everything fades to gray, I realize we've finally crossed into the wilds of expansion. Looking past his door, we can see the hallway beyond. Down the hall, we spot another family. Activating this special vision leaves Juno completely stunned. He figures out that the folks in the unit right next door are his new neighbors. He pushes himself to turn off that crazy vision. The kid has no clue what's really going on. But seeing this picture, the system found Choi Haeong-jun, a 30-year-old man. We also have Park Hae, who is 30 years old, and his wife, who is the same age. And finally, there are their 2 daughters, Cho Na-yen, who is 6, and Choi Shio-yen, who is just 3. The system shouts that he has found people who qualify to become citizens. The big question is whether he wants to give them a new home in his country. Still shaken by that weird vision, Juno asks the system what would happen if he refused to give citizenship. The system answers that anyone without citizenship must leave and asks once more if he is certain he does not want to give them citizenship. The kid thinks it over, knowing that if he says no, they'll be thrown out into the cold. To keep his family safe, he gives them all citizenship. Once he settles that, he wants to look into his citizenship status, hoping a new skill might be waiting there. The first ability he notices is the top-tier Ice Power Level 1. The very site that led him to a mysterious family who appeared out of nowhere and were unknown to everyone. But that's not quite what he was hoping to find. He's looking for something about citizenship, but it's proving very hard to track down. Finally, he discovers it in the Territory Declaration, which is already at level 6. Tucked in the descriptions corner, you can find the Citizenship Management option. There he could see every citizen and how much they trusted him, noting that just 4 people stood out among the massive crowd of 600 that could easily fill the entire building. He couldn't have guessed that the room would hold 600 people, which felt like a whole new world compared to just 100 or even 40. By clicking on Crow Hyang's profile, he checks the rates for skills and money, and can also give quests or kick them out. Juno is mostly interested in the XP and money rates, which are likely the only parts they'll share with him, just like you know how it usually goes. He finds this idea thrilling because he gets to reap the rewards without lifting a finger or doing the hard labor himself. He points a finger at the option to give out quests. To build his quest, he must write down the description, set the time limit, and decide on the reward or punishment for failing. The kid was blown away by how complex the system really was. Curious about how far he could push the rules, he sets up a simple goblin hunt with no risk of losing anything, only to secretly change the penalty so that failing means total shutdown. The kid wasn't sure if it would work, but when the penalty changed, it did. The system asks if he wants to take on this quest. He laughed, saying no one ever calls off a quest, but it was just a test to see just how far his control could stretch. It seems his power is total. He can hand out citizenship, strip it away, kick people out, or even erase a person entirely. That skill is truly amazing. But what's his next move? Curious, he turns the supreme eyes on once more. And off he goes, plunging right back into that weird world. The best part is that he can watch everything that goes on in his land. Park Hae turned to her husband and asked what they should do next. He insists he must go out for some water, but his wife argues it's too dangerous for him to do so. He claims he knows the way, but since he has no choice, Park Hae-won asks if there is at least a sure spot to find water to make things safer. Choi hi. Jan's heading to a huge nearby store, so there's a good chance we can find what we need there. To make sure he really has to leave, his little daughter says she's thirsty. Yeah, my friend. There's no escape from this heavy burden on your shoulders, so strap on your backpack and go hunt. He gathers all his bravery and begs his wife to believe in him. She really doesn't want to go, but there's no choice. He goes, so she goes too. Heartbroken by what he sees, Juno turns off the supreme eyes. The kid realized his troubles were way worse than he'd imagined. To find a solution, he turns on the shop. The problem is he's also out of storage space, so he asks the system to open his skills window. Immediately, the basic chores seem like running a shop, keeping things in order and storing goods. Juno's eyes light up with excitement since he has 3 points to make his skills stronger. All of a sudden, the system asks if he wants to raise his shop's level, and Juno says yes without a second thought. A faint light begins to pulse from the system's screen. Then the shop moves to the second level, letting you list up to 20 items. To help him get started, the system also throws in a 10% discount on everything. With his arms crossed, the kid figures this is a win, because who can't resist a little discount? With only 2 points left, he chooses to pour more of his energy into his shop and into keeping his pride intact. Soon after, he upgrades his shop to the 3rd floor, allowing him to display twice as many items and even repair them. He can swap an old thing for a shiny new one right there. Seeing the kid so happy made that effort totally worth it. Next, Juno told the system to open the shop. Now it's time to grab a bottle of water and a few tangerines for everyone. But before he asks the neighbors for help, he's going to spend his last point leveling up his skills. If he can share his electricity and water with the neighbor, he'll be able to ask for almost anything in return. Thinking about it, he decides to protect his dignity with a second layer of care. Now the boy can have vessels. Could this be the way he brings power to the other houses? The scene shifts back to Toy Haeong-jun. There he stands, saying goodbye to his family before heading off to find supplies. Haeong-jun waves goodbye, promising to return quickly and assuring us that all will be well. His little girl looks at him and asks if he is truly going to leave. He agrees to go find food and water for them. The little girl screams in fear, shouting that monsters are outside. You can feel her panic because she was just playing in the sandbox with her sister when all this happened. Suddenly, she spotted those awful monsters appearing out of nowhere. In that very moment, the girls were completely lost and didn't know what was going on. But they aren't stupid either, right? They spotted those creatures and ran away. Not long after that, their dad and mom came to help. Thanks to that, they managed to escape alive. So, now you get why the girl feels that way, don't you? In her head, stepping outside is the one thing that guarantees she stops. Choi Haeong-jun knows the truth, but he's powerless to stop it. So he must leave to find food and water before they starve. This is the heavy weight he must carry. But just then, a knock came at the door. The father and mother looked up, their eyes wide with surprise. It has to be a monster knocking, especially since it's trying to turn the handle, but then a human voice asks to open the door, causing the father to panic and wonder if a real person could possibly be there or if a monster is just pretending to be one. From the outside, the MC keeps shouting, "Is anyone there?" While the family stays silent in the corner, refusing to answer. All at once, the noise fades away and silence returns. Haeong-jun is wondering if that creature has already left. Just as things settled, the door suddenly swung open. The poor dad becomes so desperate he starts to lose hope. All he can do is throw himself in front of his family to keep them safe. Just as Haeong-jun was bracing himself for a fight, MC walked right in with a calm, "Excuse me," leaving him stunned by the sudden change from violence to politeness. Our hero finally shows up with his stash of supplies. Right away, Haeong-jun shouts, "Who the hell are you?" Our boy replies he's Kim Jae-hyun from the apartment next door and says he's been watching closely, folks, and now we finally know his name. He offers to bring water and tangerines and asks if they can chat once everyone has eaten and drunk. The dad stood there, surprised by what he'd just heard. He has no excuse to turn down a drink or a bite to eat. If he can lend a hand, he's more than welcome to join. So he calls the kid inside. A while goes by, and the little girls stare at the MC with lots of suspicion. He got the message. After all, walking in like that really shocked the whole family. He sees blackout curtains hanging there, a smart trick that keeps monsters from spotting him in the dark. Since he's already sitting at the table, his very first move is to bring some light into the house. He stares at the glowing bulb, his own eyes lighting up until he becomes pure light. And get this, the light flicks on. Jae-hyun says they should start by quenching the children's thirst. Each person ends up with their own bottle of water. They drink it down like there is no tomorrow. You can see Yen gulping down so hard she even chokes. Poor thing. Seeing this, our little hero starts to think deeply. He offers her a tangerine and asks if she enjoys them. She gives a doubtful glance, but in the end, she gives in. The mother tells her to wait a moment while she peels it. A moment later, the tangerine suddenly appeared. She shoves it right into the little one's mouth. Man, I'm totally charmed by how cute this girl is. Just like seeing a little kid. The confirmation came through again, and Nabian said she wants one, too. No, Nan, run away now. You're not the cute one anymore. Scram, scram. A system message popped up, announcing that every citizen's trust has grown, with Sei Yen crossing the 50% mark to unlock a loyalty level that already stands above 30%. With that, she finally became the vessel she was meant to be. She has reached level 2 and earned 57 points of trust. Thinking about it, the MC decides it's pretty awesome. She was ready to become a vassal. But the issue is she's just a little too young for this. Unlike regular citizens where the MC can have up to 600, he is limited to just 10 vassals who must match the father's power level to take orders and go on quests. For instance, the dad stands at level 9, but his real trouble lies in his trust, which sits dangerously low at 31. Jai must figure out how to win this guy's trust. That's when the dad shouts his name. He says he's deeply grateful but doesn't know how to repay the kindness. So the MC jumps in and promises there's a way to make it right. He steps out into the hallway and asks to talk to HYM June. They began walking, and a short time later, they found themselves outside the apartment. Jae Hyun leans in and asks if he got the letter about becoming a citizen. Dad pointed to the notification and said the whole family had gotten the message about 30 minutes ago. The MC asks if anything weird happened, and Haeyoung Jun confirms that they were stuck in place for a bit. They were likely stuck in limbo, frozen in time until the day they either got their citizenship or were forced to leave. Jae Hyun insists he's determined to help Haeyoung Jun return to his old life before all this chaos started. If the dad is willing, he can make sure it happens. He promises that no monster will ever break into his home. Mr. Koi wonders if that could really happen. The MC nods and confirms it can be done. Mr. Choi pauses, realizing that nothing in this world comes without a price. So he asks the kid what's required to get it, and the MC warns that he might have to kick the buck to do it, meaning he needs to be sure he's ready before trying. Hearing this, Haeyoung Jun thought for a moment before deciding it was fine, since he was planning to leave anyway. Since he was already ready to risk his life before, all he needs to do is keep that same brave attitude. The MC then asks about the baseball bat he's holding and how much it cost. Mr. Koi says he bought it for somewhere between 400,000 and 500,000. Yeah, that gear broke the kid's bank, so listing it in the shop isn't worth it since he's saving up right now. Mr. Koi wonders why he's being asked, but Jae Hyun just waves his hand and says it's nothing, so let's drop it. He shifts the conversation and asks Mr. Choi if he remembers the day the monsters showed up. He agreed happily, recalling a weekend from just recently. Out of nowhere, those pests showed up and made a total mess. The MC figures that anyone who stayed inside likely made it through that day. Take a single goblin, for instance. He isn't strong at all. Their levels aren't as high as an adult human's, but their real trouble is that they always move in packs. But this rule holds true for people too. So the truth is, he needs to build an army from scratch because he doesn't have one yet. So he tells Mr. Croy that from now on, they will hunt for survivors together. After that talk, plenty of time slips by. A message pops up telling us that Mr. Croy's trust has gone up. The MC looks at the system and sighs, realizing it's climbed once more, proving it's nothing new. Mr. Cho has reached level 40 in his trust. The MC felt happy about the crowds, yet he worried deeply for his family, hoping that as more guests arrived, they might finally make an appearance. Then, out of nowhere, the air fills with terrifying monster screams. Curious, the MC steps out onto the balcony. He looks down and sees exactly what he wanted, new people, and he is happy about it, but from up here he can't do anything to help. What's he going to do to help those people fight off these monsters? But seriously, I don't think they'll need much help at all. One survivor lunged forward, hurling the ball with every ounce of his strength straight into a goblin's head, knocking the beast out and sending it flying. The MC is blown away by the man's strength, but the archer doesn't stop there. She already has 2 arrows drawn, and with one swift shot, she takes down 2 more targets. Now, out of all the attackers, just 1 remains. Suddenly, the guy with the baseball bat leaps onto him and smashes the bat down, sending ketchup flying everywhere. When the goblins realize their extra numbers won't work, they take off running. Yeah, man, this group of survivors isn't just anyone. They're tough fighters, but something else catches the archer's eye. Without even thinking twice, she grabs the arrow only to discover it's really just a pack of crackers thrown by the main character. A clueless guy is up there trying to get the survivor's attention. She finally sees him. She just can't catch on to what he's trying to tell her. Just as the doorbell rings, The MC taps into his power and sees that it's Mr. Choi. He realizes it's his partner, so he opens the door and invites him inside. Mr. Choi says thank you, but a wall blocks his way from going in. Neither of them gets it. They just can't figure out why he couldn't get inside. The system tells him he isn't allowed to go inside. Mr. Choi looked confused, shouting, "What do you mean I'm not qualified? What does that even mean, man?" But sadly, no one could answer him, not even the MC, who was just as clueless. The MC even wonders if anyone can ever find their way into his house. Maybe only registered vassals can enter, and even that is doubtful since he is locked out. Yet Mr. Choi still hands him a box filled with whatever weapons are available. With curiosity piqued, the main character reaches out and begins to pry it open. Inside, he stumbles upon some toolboxes and a few sharp knives. Then, he tells the system to open up the shop. The kid grabs 5 bottles of water and 5 packs of crackers. Then he packs everything into the box and asks if Mr. Choi could just leave it at the building's front door. Hearing that, the dad asks if it's safe to leave it at the front door. The MC waved it off and said it was fine, realizing after waiting for a long time that those goblins only come out when the sun is up. Plus, he has to get those people outside to join his team. Once they see the MC is eating, the group will have to hunt him down. Jae-hyun tells Mr. Choi that he has a plan and asks him to please take the box to the front. The dad questions if he must leave, but the MC nods and says yes. Well, if there's no other choice, there's no other choice, is there? He'll have to take a step forward or a step back. Our small MC gives him a thank you. To help Mr. Choi, he clicks on the quest window. He gives the dad a simple job. Take the 5 bottles and food downstairs for a small reward with no risk of punishment. The MC tells Mr. Choi that taking on the quest will earn him some XP. Mr. Choi wonders if it feels like gaining a new level in a game, and the main character agrees, noting that he is currently at level 9. When he grows stronger, he'll get great rewards too. As soon as he heard about the rewards, the dad lit up and said, "Leave it to me, I've got this." After a while, he was already standing at the top of the stairs. He keeps holding back, scared of what could happen next. But that's just how it goes. There's no way to escape, so he takes the plunge. After a while, he finally made it to the bottom floor. He thanked God for finally making it, and now all he had to do was leave the box where it was and climb back up. But that's when a sound catches his ear from the side. Suddenly, he spots a bunch of people coming his way. Inside his mind, a scary bunch of goblins appears. Desperate, he sprints forward, but his weak body can't keep up. That is the moment the clumsy person trips and crashes to the floor, sending everything flying. Now he's trapped and has nothing left to do but shake with fear. He even tries to move, but he feels frozen in place. As he looks back, he spots the group walking right toward him. With nothing left to do, he simply accepts his end. But that's when he hears a human voice cutting through the silence. Yep, that guy is so slow that at 30 years old, he still thinks a bunch of people are a pack of goblins. A little while later, the system warns the MC that someone is trying to break in but gets refused. When he sees this, the MC feels a bit confused. Who are these lucky folks who are trying to get in? So, there is only one way to know, and he'll have to wake up the Supreme Eyes. He spots the group of survivors and Mr. Choi looking back at him. The archer knows this is the spot where the food was thrown from. Now that he knows their true identity, the MC shuts off his eyes. The system buzzes to tell him that those folks have earned their way to citizenship. It all comes down to whether the main character chooses to give it to them or not. Honestly, the main character isn't sure what to do next. Back when his land was growing, he had to let newcomers become citizens or throw them out. Now, those already outside have a simple choice. Even if they don't make it in, they're already used to living out there. So Jae-hyun finds himself stuck, not sure if he should move forward or wait. That's when the intercom starts buzzing. I don't know why the MC is so happy about this, but he decides to take a look anyway. When he gets there, he spots Mr. Choi on the screen. He asks the man to hang on just a second so he can wrap things up. The system pops up once more to warn that Mr. Choi is currently on a quest and asks if you'd like to change the mission for him. The man nods yes, since he doesn't want to make the mission harder. He's just stretching it out to see if he can win the group's trust faster. With that in mind, he adds one more thing to the quest. A meal for the 6 guests must be served. The system pops back up to tell you that the quest has changed. Mr. Choi wonders what new update just popped up in his quest. The MC just says it's an update and asks him to feed the guests, hinting that he has something in mind. Mr. Call nods in agreement and quickly tells all the guests the whole story. Then he goes back to the MC and says they've agreed to the plan, at least for now. Once they say yes, Jae orders the system to give them all citizenship. The system happily grants citizenship to everyone. Now they can all reach up to the 30th floor. Once everyone is aboard and the system chirps that there are 10 citizens, the group's money and experience gains jump by 10%. Reading this makes the MC feel so happy. Not only did he get it, but the whole group did too. Since they usually hunt for just enough to survive, this extra 10% made them overjoyed, and their leader welcomed the bounty with open arms. As the citizen management system comes alive, the MC quietly checks how much trust each person deserves. He notices that their leader, Hatting Jian, has reached level 23 and is just as powerful as the monster he defeated. Besides that, he's a metahuman who can throw things with amazing power. Depending on who throws it, a baseball can turn into a weapon, and a single clean toss can knock someone out. Now take that little game and stack it 3 high, because together it can definitely bring down a monster. His trust isn't fully earned yet, but that's fine because it can grow with time. Our little MC asked the system to give out 70% of the XP to all 6 of them. That way it's fair. They hunt down monsters, split the loot with a big bonus for the MC who runs the show like a government, and everyone walks away happy. Now he can hand out monster hunting jobs to his minions and relax on the couch, letting everything run like a video game on autopilot. He must meet the crew at the exact right moment, no sooner and no later. That's because they could hold the key to finding the MC's family. Then, the system suddenly spoke up, revealing that one of them had grown a little more trusting. The MC still didn't get it. He stood perfectly still, yet somehow the trust grew. That's when the other 2 decide to join them and climb up as well. Perhaps the trouble started when they wandered into their neighbor's apartment. Park Hae-won is asking what's happening, and Mr. Choi promises to explain later but asks if she can get food ready for 6 people. Worried, she asks if he needs it right away since that would mean starting from scratch, and her husband confirms it's a request from Jae Hyun. She looks a little thoughtful because honestly, cooking for 6 people from nothing has to feel like a real drag. Since Jae Hyun asked, there is no choice but to accept that she will try, so Park stands tall and tells the group to wait just a bit longer until the food is ready. The leader nods in agreement, though a thoughtful look still lingers on his face. He turns to Mr. Choi to ask who Kim Jae-hyun really is, but Mr. Choi admits that even he doesn't know the man well enough to say. All he knows about the kid is that he lives next door. But he's a fascinating man, and everything they see out there is possible only because he's helping them. This makes Dong Jin feel a bit emotional because he finally found a metahuman just as strong as him. He even believes the MC must be truly amazing to pull all this off. So Hatting Jin knows he must do anything in his power to win over the mighty man who can bring food, water, and electricity. In this world, his talent is nothing short of a miracle. Mr. Choi says the food will take a bit to get ready, so if anyone wants to take a shower, they are welcome to do so. When they heard the word shower, the girls suddenly became emotional because they hadn't seen one in days. Hatting Jun knew the rules. If the lights are on, most of the base is ready to go. To fix the dong and ease Jin's greatest worry, Mr. Choi confirms that hot water is available. The girls were thrilled to finally shower, and now that they knew it would be hot, they felt like they were in paradise. Mr. Choi explains that this setup is part of Mr. Kim's clever planning, allowing both of them to take a shower at the same time since there are 2 bathrooms. The 4 eyes asked Dong Jun if the man was also a metahuman, and Dong Jun replied that his powers were probably far stronger than his own. The large man in the back tells him not to get discouraged, saying all they need to do is give the guy a good beating, but Hatting Jin immediately scolds him and insists they should be trying to impress him instead of picking a fight. The big, spacey guy admits he didn't know, so Hatting Jin grabs him to stop him from making any stupid moves and just stay quiet. Their goal is to gather as much food as they can, so everyone needs to make sure nothing goes wrong. Although everyone else agrees, there's one guy over there who looks a little down. Hatting Jun sees this and realizes Moon Beong-ho is sad, and he can tell you why. On that fateful day, Hatting Jun invited Baeo over to his home right before the tragedy struck. He was kind of running the whole party, you know. But the real trouble was that Baemo's grandma was left by herself. Now everyone just wants food to try and save his grandma. Even though the group is determined, the kid isn't an idiot and knows it's probably too late. It's nearly impossible that the old lady is still alive. But the leader won't stop trying until he reaches his goal. He says that if they team up, they'll reach their goal in no time, especially since they're already so close. But just then, a loud boom cracks through the air. It was the door opening. Hatting Jin grips his baseball tightly, staring down at the field as he waits for his opponent to come out. Of course it's the MC, the guy who can't even knock on a door without getting hit on the head. At least he turned up with his arms full of things, claiming he was there to lend a hand. But Don Jun was sure that is exactly when he felt it. Maybe this one person can save them all, make a safe haven in this deep pit of sadness. A short while later, the next scene shows everyone already seated at the table. Park High student apologizes for the crowded table. The group says it's fine, even though they just popped up out of nowhere. The chat was fun and cool, but finally, the food arrived. Mr. Koi moves from person to person, handing out food to everyone. The mother hopes everyone will enjoy the meal she made. And if they don't grab a bite, they deserve a slap because this is a real feast that started out looking like just rice but ended up packed with eggs, meat, salad, and even little buns. The poor archer is practically drooling over her, and after the shower, this feast is definitely worth it. This is absolutely amazing, as the mother says everything is thanks to Jae-hyun for bringing all the ingredients, because without him, she would have served only rice and tangerines, and even those tangerines were brought by the MC just for the sake of giving ingredients, which pushed Park Hye's trust all the way up to 50. Our boy felt a surge of happiness, convinced that her trust had already hit 50% before her husband's did. Alright, the chat is great, but now it's time to stuff our faces. The archer said the fluffy egg omelet tasted amazing. The other girl asks if tamagoyaki is the sweet dish served in Japanese restaurants, and Park Hye nods to confirm it is. That's when the darling Seo Yen chimes in, saying she'd love a bite too. The mother answered that she'd eat, but only after the guests had finished their meal. The archer spots the girl on the verge of tears and invites her over to share a meal with them. Man, that was exactly what she had been waiting to hear. In just a blink of an eye, the girl had leaped right into his lap. Watching the child beg so hard, the archer snatches the sweet right from her hand to make her happy. And honestly, I'm getting hungry just looking at that feast. The MC notices the family standing and asks them to please sit down and eat with everyone. They stare at each other, a little unsure. But in the end, they agreed, and everyone sat down to eat except Nong Yen, leaving me wondering if someone had locked her out, or if I'd just forgotten to invite her after joking about sending her away. Well, our little hero is getting emotional because it's been a while since he had a meal like this. For the last few days, he's only been eating the food his mother left behind. He hasn't tasted fresh food in ages, so all he can do is hope that everyone is safe. Once everyone has eaten their fill, Yen tells her mother she is feeling sleepy. Her mother said it's fine, and she and Non, who had finally shown up, could head to bed. Jae-hyun says that now that they are